Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here for another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. And I am going to make on the spot a Christmas box for a gift. I don't know what size it is until I get it all put together, and then we're going to figure out how to make it. What I have is some tissue paper to wrap the inside package and some doodads that are from an old collection called Winter Fun from Cartabella. Ancient. I have 3 random pages. So I have snowflakes. Excuse me, I'm just recovering from a cough. And I have some cut aparts and I have some borders. So they didn't get used in whatever layout I was doing. So we are now going to figure this out. So the first thing I want to do is compress my package, wrapping it in some tissue. I don't even think I need the whole piece of tissue, but it's always nicer to be generous to make presents look good. And I like the shiny side of the tissue paper out and the dull side in. And I'm just going to literally stick my things on top and cover it over. Try to keep it in some sort of a shape that I can measure. Wow, yeah, I really don't need this much paper. So I am going to cut it in half. It's just a little too much. So long scissors, long cuts. I'm just off camera a little bit here. This paper is huge. There we go. So we keep with the one side. There we go. That's more manageable. All right. So we're going to stick those guys back in the center. This time I'll go this way and this way. And then I'll come this way. And I'll go this way. And I'm just going to fold that end over. And I'm going to stick a small piece of tape there. I'm doing Christmas wrapping, so my tape is in random places. Just a little piece of tape just to keep the whole thing together. There we go. All right, so there's my package I need to create with. I'm just going to put my decor pieces to the side. This is the side I want up, and I need to make sure that I have enough to actually cover this package. And I think I might even make it an envelope shape. All right, that might work. Okay, so first I'm going to take the zip strip off because that's going to confuse my eyeballing and my square shapes. So let me get my cutter out. And yes, I am still in my pajamas. It is a sick day for me. But you get my nice pretty pajamas. And this doesn't really have any value. You could cut that off and save it for your crafty bits. And so now here is my 12 by 12 sheet. Excuse me. So in theory, if I have this like that, I need to make sure I have enough of an edge. Or do I just make it simple on myself? I think I should make it simple on myself. Okay, so we are going to, do I have enough? Let's figure it out. We're going to make a little math calculations here. So we love the math. So I have a 12 by 12 paper. Oh, sorry guys, it's going to be like this the whole video. I apologize in advance, but I don't want to let you down. I know I pawned you off last week. All right, so let's say 4. So this is 4 by, can I squish it into 5? Yeah, let's say 5. So my package is 4 by 5, and I have about a girth of about a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. So I have to allow for that 1/2 inch in the depth of the package. Now, to make sure that I'm going to have enough, what I basically need to do is have a long rectangle and sides. So I'm not as worried or concerned about the sides because the width of the paper is going to be well wide enough for the sides. So what I am worried about is getting this in the paper. So I think to make it easier on me, I am going to have the 4 inches. The 5 is going to go across with stuff on either side, and the 4 inches is going to be the height, which allows me to have the most optimum amount of paper when I'm creating my box. So if I have 4 inches, this has to be 4 inches. This has to be a 1/2 inch for the girth, so there's like a little bend there. And then this has to be 4 inches, and then there has to be another 1/2 inch for the girth, and then this has to be, let's see, that can be flexible, so I'm not worried about that. But what do I have so far? I have 4 and 4 is 8 plus 9. That leaves this at 3. Oh, I should be able to squeak it in, and maybe we can do sort of a nice finish on the edges on the top edge. And then on this side, I have to have a 1/2 inch for the girth because it's going to be folded against this. And then I need a little bit more for the actual attaching. So that's the tab. And this is a 1/2 inch, and then that's the tab. And I usually do tabs at about a 1/2 inch. So, am I thinking properly? Let's hope I am. Just double check my thinking. And you know what? I want this to come down a little bit more. I'm going to have this come down a 1/2 inch because I want to have a tab. And we'll figure out how that works out. But let's cut this as we see it. So I'm actually going to use my different cutter. This is why I have so many cutters. I encourage you to have as many cutters as you can, because every cutter has a different purpose. This cutter is brilliant for cutting inside cuts. So things that you don't want to chop right through. You want to just go from edge to edge. This is the perfect cutter for that. The guillotines are the perfect cutter for cutting outside edges. Alrighty, so actually, you know what I'm going to do? Smart move, Chris. Think about it. Think about it. I'm going to score pal this first. And if we score pal it, then we're more likely to be accurate. Alrighty. You can already see that the paper is slightly short, which does happen in real life. There, that's a better fit. Now that's wide. So I am going to do my scoring of the sides first. So I'm going to go my 1/2 inch tab my 1/2 inch full side. Then I'm going to do my 5 inches. So this is 5 inches. Okay. Then a 1/2 inch tab, or fold, and or side, and a 1/2 inch tab again. I know it's all confusing, but you'll see. I'll do it very slowly with my measurements. So I'm going to measure in right away a 1/2 inch. So that's my tab side. Okay. And this is heavy paper, so I'm just going to give that 3 light runs. I don't want to break through my paper. So that's my tab. Now I'm going to do a 1/2 inch that is the side, which brings me to the 1 inch score mark. So I'm looking at 1 inch here. And I'm going down. Again, 3 times. Then I'm moving over 5 inches because that's the width of my project. So that puts me at 6 inches where I'm going to put my score. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to do my 1/2 inch side again. 1, 2, and 3. And then my tab. That brings us to 7. Okay, so that tells me I can cut at 7 easily. So I'm going to do that first before I do my other scoring, because I don't want to mess up this nice chunk that I can use for another project. And for this cut, I am going to use the guillotine because there's no cutting inside the lines. So at my 7 mark, which I've already scored, make sure it lines up everywhere. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. Oh, sorry. Shaky hands, shaky hands. There we go. So that piece is a nice piece I can use for something else. All right, so that should be 7, and it is. Yay, me. Right so far. Okay, so I've done my vertical lines. Now I'm going to switch and do my horizontal lines. So I'm now going to score. I think I'll start from the bottom instead. It doesn't matter which way it is on the paper. So I'm going to do it this way because that's my front piece. Excuse me. So I'm going to go 4 inches. And very carefully and nice and slowly and lightly. And then I need my girth. So that's a 1/2 inch. And then I need 4 inches again for the back. So let's see, 4.5 to 8.5. So I can't think. I'm going to do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I was right. So 4.5 is there. So at 8.5, we're drawing our next line, and I'll go over those measurements again. And then I need my girth again at the top. And then I have my flap that I can play with. Okay, so starting at the beginning, my paper is 7 inches wide. If you have a 12 inch, you can just do it straight on your 12 inch. I scored at 2, I scored at 1, I scored at 6, I scored at 6.5, and then if you're on a 12 by 12 paper, you would score at 7 and then cut. If you're on a 7 inch paper, then you are at the edge of your paper. All right, then I rotated it so that it fit horizontal into my score pile, and then I scored at 4, 4.5, 8.5, and 9. and that's all the scoring I need to do. Oh no, it isn't. I lied. So we need to keep these this little tab here. So the one that glues, onto the side is this one. We don't need the tab in there, but we do need to have an indicator of what's going on in this area. So I have my score line at 1/2 inch here and 4 inches there, and then another 1/2 inch down and 4 inches there. So I need, oh no, that's a cut line. Never mind. Okay, we can do it this way. Alrighty. Now, I think, is it easier for you to see it on the back? Ooh, definitely not. Okay, you can see it on the front here. Okay, my short piece is at the top, my 4 inch piece is at the bottom. Now I need to do some cutting here. I'm going to cut my interior, that's the second line in from each side, right to that tip. So I get my long scissors. I could do this with my cutter, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to cut right up my embossing line. Right to that first score. And then I'm going to come across and chop that piece out. So you can see that I still have the scores that are here and here. Now I am going to trim off this little bit here. Now, which direction do I want to go for this? And I'm going to go up here. So I have a little tab here and my side and a tab here. So just to make it obvious that they are tabs, let's just angle those corners so we don't get any confusion happening. And we'll finish the cut up there afterwards. Okay, so now you can see my corners, and that is my side, front, and bottom. So we're going to do it now the same thing on this side. I'm going to cut up my second score line. Let me see if I can get it in screen. There we go. So I'm cutting up this line from the bottom. Ugh. It'd be nice if my hand were steadier. Okay, and now again, like I did over here, I'm going to cut that entire piece off. And I am going to cut straight up and straight up. And I'm going to cut this little piece off. Okay, so now I have a tab and a tab, and we're going to make it obvious. So we're just going to angle it a little bit. There's one tab. And there's the other tab, and again it's going to tab into the corner up there, but I'll explain that one a little more later. Okay, so you have something like this. So now we're going to cut the top part, which is similar, and this time we're going to cut exactly the same way we did on the second score line. All the way down on both sides, because this is our flap. Right to the fold line. And what are we doing? And I'm cutting that off altogether. And this side as well. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so we are now just going to cut straight across. So if I can show you here, we have our side score line here. Wow, come on paper, give me a break. There we go. I cut the tab for the tab that's on the side, and now I'm just going to keep cutting that right to the corner. There we go. And I'm just going to cut out that center piece there. Okay, so now that's what my corner looks like. This is on the short side. So we're going to do the same thing here, just keep it going right to the corner, and then cut that little corner piece out. All right, there we go. So here is our box, and if we've done it right, it will work. So I'm going to need some double-sided tape, and I've got 1/2 inch score marks. And I think I might not have my 1/2 inch tape here. Isn't that interesting? Okay, anyway, onward and upward. I'll use something that's close. All right, so now let's fold all of our lines. So I'm going to fold the bottom up twice, because that's our little bottom piece. And I'm going to fold the top down twice, because that's our top lip. And then I'm going to fold the sides in twice. And I've got my little tab I need to fold over too. And I'm going to fold my sides in twice again on this side. And I have my little tab to fold in too. So that's all the lines folded. Now, I want to do something with the top of this. And I'm just looking around my desk to see if I have a shape anywhere that would be kind of interesting to use as a line. I use everything in my office, so that would give kind of an interesting looking edge, so it'd be swoopy like a snow bank. So I am just, whoops, I am going to try to hold it steady, and I'm just going to trace along the edge of my loopy thing. All right, and that's going to give us a more interesting finish. So I'm going to take up, these scissors are too big, I prefer small when it's a small cut. And the idea is it's supposed to be slopey. There we go. So that is my cut edge. I think that looks kind of fun. Alrighty. So now let's stick it all together and hope everything comes out. So this is a tab that's going to be stuck behind the front panel. So we need to put tape on that tab. And I tried to get it right to the edge, and I'd rather trim off excess to make sure I get a nice seal. So again, put away the big scissors. We're on to little scissors now. So I'm just going to trim away. I'm not worried about the inside edge because that'll be against the gift, but the outside edge I want to be nice and sturdy. I have to remember I'm a right-handed cutter, so I can't cut backwards like that. Okay, so that is going to go there like that. So this is going to stick on the bottom, so we need to put a little bit of adhesive there. And funny enough, we will have just created an angle on our tape, and we should be able to somehow use that angle to put some tape on here. Not very nicely, but you know what? It's just to stick down, so let's just do that. That piece is less important. It's the sides I really want to have properly glued. And then we're going to do the same on here, right along the edge, so it's nice and flush. And trim off the excess for stability. Go. And then we need a little piece on here somehow. Just to keep it down. Oopsie. All right. Okay, so we have our pieces here and here, and that's how we need to stick. So let's hope this works. I do not profess to be the most perfect at doing this stuff, but so I'm going to fold down the bottom edge so that I can align it carefully with the bottom tab. So I'm going to take my tabs off, just the bottom ones first. Kind of got to do it in order, otherwise you end up with a big mess. And I'm aligning that with the side of the box on both sides. Okay, so there's my box starting to take shape. Okay, now this is a little trickier. I'm just going to fold halfway because I got to make sure that I'm aligning nicely on both sides. So I'm pulling this outside of the box so that I can actually align it first. And then once I got it aligned the way I want to see it, I can pull the rest off. And that's how I make sure that I'm getting it aligned the way I want. And then I just take my bone folder and I go in there and just flush it down. Okay, so now we have a nicely aligned edge. And now we're going to do that on this side as well. Once I like it, pull it out. Oh, there we go. Nicely, oh, yeah, I'm out of camera here. Nicely aligned edge. Okay, so that's how I get my edges aligned nicely. So that is it. Like, we literally have done the box. Now, the trick. Does the thing fit in it? Let's see. Now I know I got some extra paper here, so I can scooch it a little bit. And I'm just going to go off screen so I can keep, well, maybe I can do it here. On screen, jiggle, 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 and it does fit. It's a bit of a tight fit, but it does fit. I could have given it a little more room, but that'll be okay because I'm putting a belly band and some string around it. So there's the actual package. All right, now belly band. I was looking at these guys and using one of them as a belly band, and then I've got some coordinating string that can go with this too. But I think before I begin that, I want to define this edge a little bit. So I'm going to pull out, let's see, I'm going to pull out, I'm going to pull out the gold, this gold pen. I think I want this gold pen. That's a little yellow. Let's see what else I have. Let's try this one. Oh, I like that one better. Okay. So I am going to, before I wrap everything up here, I am just going to go and draw a line with my hand. Along the edge, just to give it that little bit of extra something something, so that when the two pieces are close together, you can tell that there's an opening point there. Okay. And I'm going to hang on to that pen because I like that color. Gold is a very interesting thing. It sometimes is consistent and other times not so much. Okay, so belly band now. Which belly band do I want? That, I think I'm going to go with the red snowflakes just because it's kind of a themey thing. All the snowflakes. Or I could go with the little hockey player guys. No, I think I'm going to take the snowflakes out of here, and the rest I can keep for another project. And I'm going to take it. I'm ready to roll. Alrighty. There we go. Ooh, that doesn't line up very well. Make sure you have a nice straight edge. There we go. And those could be used for another project. So now this is my belly band. Belly bands are awesome for keeping things together. Now, do I want my belly band to go up and down like that? Or do I want it to go across like that? Well, if I put it across like that, I'm losing the interest in my sculpted edge. So I think my belly band is going to go across the center. So I'm literally just going to use the entire band. I'm not worried. I'm just going to make some forced folds on it so that it stays a little crisper. There we go. And then I'm going to put some double-sided tape at the bottom and the top and stick it all down, and that will be our belly band. So bottom and top. All right. And that'll be enough to hold it together. So the first thing I'm going to do is, when you're doing this, make sure that you remember who the gift is for, because once it's in there, you don't want to have to be pulling it out to figure out who it was for. There we go. And there's my belly band. Now, just to spruce it up a little, and I'm going to make a tag that says to and from. I have some, I had some, where did I put them all? I was moving things out of the way. I have a habit of doing that when I'm in, oh, there they are. When I'm in the middle of the creative process and I forget, I'm not paying attention to where I put them, which I'm sure happens to all of us. Okay, and these are bits that I can go through and decide if I want to keep or not. Just want to clear them out of my space. Okay, and then I have these wonderful strings. Oh, I love this one. I just love it. So right away, I've made a decision as to what color I want to use. And this is going to tie around. This is the one I want. Sorry, I've got a tangly mess here. They had the end and the beginning in the same spot. So now I'm all messed up. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to wrap around twice. So I want to have enough to wrap around twice. And I also want to have enough. Oh, come on. Really? I want to have enough for a bow. Okay, that should be enough. I'm just guessing at it, and boy, I'm going to re-wrap that one when I have some time later. All right, I can go back in here for now. Look how well that coordinates. Pardon me. Alrighty, so I'm going to take my string and I'm just going to fold it in half for now. And this guy is great there. And now I want to look at these guys. So I thought this is where I can put the to and from. And I thought I would mount that on the inside of the winter days. The background is fairly blah, so that would be kind of a fun tag to make. But now that I'm looking at it, it might be a little large for this package. So I need to go to another plan. What about that guy? Okay, we're going to use that guy, and we're actually going to fussy cut him out. So I just need, actually, you know what? Since we're fussy cutting, I'm not going to worry about cutting straight. There we go. If I were not cutting, fussy cutting, I would have cut that with a ruler, but and now I'm going to get my really good fussy cutting scissors. And this is going to be a joy. Now, I always go in and cut one direction first on these scallops, because otherwise I find they lose their shape if I go like that one right there. I can't do that. For me, it's easier just to go across the top and down, across the top, around and down. All right, and so now I've gone all in one direction. Now I get to go back in the other direction. All right, and so now I've gone all in one direction. Now I get to go back in the other direction. And then I just go and look and see if anything is too pointy. And I just trim it a little bit rounder. And that one looks like a mountain. And there you have it. There's your tag. Now, I don't suggest you do that for all of your tags because that would be brutal. And of course, if you do happen to have a scallop border punch, you can maybe perhaps try that, but this is pretty not very consistent. So there is my tag, and on the back I am going to write my to and from. Let's see if I can do it in this color. All right. So that's my tag. And my tag is going to have a hole punched in it. So let's get our hole punch out. And I like to see where I'm punching my hole, so I always take the bottom off. And I'm going to put a hole right there. Alrighty. Okay, so now we are going to double wrap. And slip this guy on here. Bring him up. I'll leave him to the side for a minute. Okay, so let's try this a whole other way. I'm going to tuck that under there so it doesn't get in the way. And I'm going to make my double loop bow. So what I did there was I folded my bow or my string in about a third and about a third, just so that I can reach the other one. And I'm going to literally tie a knot. I can remember to keep the pieces separate. So there's one. It'll take a little finagling, but it will get done. There we go. So now I pull out these guys and this one. This one is the one that is to be snipped. And so I have a double bow, which looks very pretty. And encourage this back over very gently underneath the bow. And there is your finished project. So that was not bad for a half hour's worth of work, and it looks pretty good, and I'm very happy with it. I could put a little tape there to keep it secure. I don't think I'm going to, because it's just going to be pulled off like a belly band anyway, and then this gets pulled off like a belly band, and then it just comes out. So I think I like everything that's going on there. And that was a simple box, and it was custom made for the size that I needed. And that is sometimes very hard to find. So if you can make it yourself, that's a much better option. Let me just push it back up here. I want to get it over this one little side. And there we go. And now it's all ready. It's a season for happiness. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, please share with your friends. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel underneath the video when the video is done. We will see you next Thursday. Bye.